So basically, this is just Jesus Christ Zombie Slayer.
That was a good movie.
Is it really a movie?
Well, no, I'm sorry.
There's Jesus Christ Vampire
Hunter,
Yeah.
but not
is it Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter or is it Abraham?
I know
Lincoln?
it's Abraham Lincoln.
There's Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, but there's also a Jesus.
Jesus
He
Christ,
was- yeah,
Vampire
yeah.
Hunter. Oh, wowee.
Yeah.
I need to look into this.
The podcast you're about to listen to may contain objectionable language, adult and/or immature content, mentions of Jesus Christ, and unironic readings of holy Christian scriptures. If any of this is likely to offend you in a manner that you find less than enjoyable, maybe don't listen.
I'm Pastor Bob Schaefer.
And I'm Pastor Eric Damon. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome to a Comedians with Pastors Talking Bible short take.
Right, we're still doing this short take thing where we bring people back every week. Should we be doing this every week? Is that a good idea, Bob?
It seems like the algorithm likes it and our audience keeps on listening. So who are we to object to their good sense and taste?
I think we are nobody to object. So we every other week, instead of diving into introductory banter with our featured guest, we bring in our resident comic theologians and dive right into scripture. How are both of you doing tonight?
Oh, there's no place I'd rather be than right here with you guys.
Then the
talking
place
Bible.
that you forgot where we are there.
I was gonna say Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, but I'm like, is this still gonna be here by the time the
I think
episode
by the
goes
time
out?
this episode comes out, it will still be. I think you'll actually still be worshiping in this building.
We
at that
will.
point in
We
time.
will. Yep. But our final service in this location is August 30th, and
That's my birthday.
hey,
You're welcome.
You want to come
America.
spend your birthday with us?
I'll be in Columbus, but
Right.
that's at the end of the episode. Sorry, that was the devil.
That
The devil
is-
did not want me to.
Professional mic work there.
Yeah.
But no, this will not be a Sheets yet as of the time of this episode, but soon. And then I have to just think about maybe I come over here and keep some office hours at the Sheets, drinking coffee and hanging out at the old church location.
They paved paradise and put up a Sheets.
I know. It's hard, but we're soldiering on. We're excited about what's going on.
They paved the entryway to paradise.
Is there parking lots in
And put
heaven?
up
I need to know.
There is a parking lot in the Sheets, so you are you are pretty darn close.
Hey, by the way,
Eric,
since
you
we
don't-
did not actually introduce them, you are hearing the voices of Erick and Abby. I think we did in fact say our resident comic theologians.
I'm Eric.
but-
I am. No, you're not.
Don't tell me.
You're
who I am.
Abby.
No,
I'm
no,
Eric.
I'm Eric. We can both be Eric.
Oh, right. This is like an I am
Eric and Eric.
Spartacus moment.
I am being
awesome.
gaslit. This is a classic evil universe twin situation.
Who's gonna believe you?
Except that you have to be the
effectiveness
evil
of the
one.
gaslighting depends on how much Bob and I assert that you are indeed Abby.
And Abby, you are the evil one because you have the facial hair.
Thank you, Bob. You know what's up.
No, Eric.
What?
And that's what our audience is saying right now. What?
You know what? I was gonna say that I exist. I'm alive, and that has pros and cons. But right now, I'm feeling a lot of cons.
I'm
to
so
that.
proud of you for acknowledging your existence, Abby.
That
Damn it!
So, are we going to talk about Bible or
I think
what?
we should dive right into the Bible.
I think that's about all we can do at this point. So this episode is for Sunday, August 23rd, the 13th Sunday after Pentecost, and we have a short little reading from the Gospel of Matthew. Now, when Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" And they said, "Some say John the Baptist, but others Elijah, and still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." He said to them, But who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." And Jesus answered him, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in heaven. And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not prevail against it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven." Then he sternly ordered the disciples not to tell anyone that he was the Messiah.
All right, so the way you read it is the way that I have normally thought about it, where the difference is between who do people say and who do you say. Before you read it out loud, just looking at it today, I jumped at the difference between Son of Man and I. So the extension, the accent would have been on who do you say I am, as opposed to who do people say the Son of Man is. And
That is really insightful, that the first question he asks is that, who do they say the Son of Man is? And that he is, we understand he's referring to himself, but
the second one is where he looks at them and goes, "But who do you say I am?" Which seems to play into kind of the more evangelical mindset of a personal relationship with Jesus, and establishing that there is a difference between this abstract Son of Man concept and me, the guy that you know.
I was going to say, this sounds like a good one to like preach to like a Bible school, like as a youth pastor.
how do you think?
Well, there is who do people say and who do you say? So people, I'm assuming, is like the world, like not the church. So who are people outside of the church saying, and who do you? I'm just spilling bullshit right now, but it is
That's
just kind of like
common
saying,
youth pastor tactic.
No, it is, but it is just kind of saying like, forget what other people are saying, forget other people's relationship. What's your relationship? What are you saying? How do you feel about this?
Well, and that is kind of, I think, the question for those of us who follow Jesus is, who do we say that he is? And the world says this about Jesus. I mean, there are lots of voices out there saying lots of things about Jesus. And it's good to know what the world is saying about Jesus. But the important thing, I think, is what does the church say about Jesus? What do the people who know and love Jesus say about him? And he cares about that answer, maybe more than he cares about the answer of what the world is saying about him.
I feel like Jesus is actually giving a little more of a hint than he often does in this one.
Oh.
Like, well, first of all, I'm realizing that the Bible is a lot of he said.
Yeah. It's just a lot of people talking.
It is a lot. Yep.
It's kind of like The Great Gatsby, where they're just like, let's just change scenery just so we can talk.
But he's like, who do people say the Son of Man is? They like list off people, and none of them are him. And then he's like, and what do you guys call me? It's not the Son of Man. It's not the Son of Man. And Simon was like, I got this. And Jesus even then is like, oh, you're so good that I'm going to point out that you are the Son of Man whose name is Jonah.
I know your dad, Jonah. He's pretty cool. Got swallowed by a whale.
He wants pictures of Spider-Man.
I got that one.
I did not.
J. Jonah Jameson.
I still did not.
I mean, so his dad was obviously named James.
J. Jonah Jameson is famously, I believe, the head of the Daily Bugle, the fictional newspaper that Peter Parker works for, taking pictures of Spider-Man. I want pictures of Spider-Man!
Come on, Eric, keep up.
You can tell how up I am on my Spider-Man knowledge.
Also, I love how Jesus may not be up on his Spider-Man knowledge, but he is up on his Greek mythology knowledge, because I do love how he like shouts out Hades.
Yep.
So like, were people in Jerusalem like super into like mythology? Was Percy Jackson big?
So this is actually, I think, an improvement over the previous translation of the NRSV. We have the NRSV UE, the updated edition. and I believe that this was translated as hell commonly in a lot of other translations. But this actually is the Greek word Hades. And I think the reason for this translation is that a lot of people, English speakers today, imagine hell as fire and brimstone and place of torture and torment, which,
It's
if
actually
you are
a lot more like Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
well, the
It
There's
is
a
Pittsburgh of
very
old.
relevant river.
It's a lot like a Hieronymus. I'm gonna butcher the name, but like a Bosch painting. It's not just like Renaissance. It's just like weird little guys.
and
It's the garden. Yeah, go on.
And Jesus had a word for that. I mean, he referred to Gehenna, which was basically kind of a trash dump outside of Jerusalem, where garbage and feces would be burned. And back in the day,
And according to the legends of their time, it was also the place where the bodies of the sacrifices would have been dumped in
child
Gehenna.
sacrifices in particular to the god Molech. And so when Jesus wants to talk about
Time out.
Sure.
The god Molech?
Yep, the pagan god Molech. That was a Canaanite deity, and part of his cult involved child sacrifice. And so when the people had really gone astray, that was, at least according to the legend, that was the location where some of the worst abominations took place.
I love it when the girls being paganism and mythology make appearances in the Bible.
Actually, I've heard of Molech as a demon at some point, I'm sure.
It's my demonology is not exactly an expertise, but I mean the Baals and Molech, and they're all going to have the connotation of great evils. But Molech definitely because of the child sacrifice. I mean that was
That's fair. That's fair. I will not dispute that
if
one.
you can refer to the pit outside of your town where there's supposedly just thousands of infant bodies stacked
even
up,
the Catholics weren't that bad.
you'd say that was I mean,
So Jesus has a word when he wants to talk about fiery hells. He has a word for that, and that's not the word he uses here.
Is
Hades
it Pittsburgh?
It
Is it
is
censored
not.
for the
That is
kids?
very Calvin and Hobbes, though, of you. I love that strip about where do you think we go when we die.
Pittsburgh.
If we're good or bad.
You're not dead. This is Pittsburgh.
And so, I mean, you guys know about Hades from Greek mythology. I feel like you could tell us about that, Abby.
Well, Hades is the god of death and the underworld, and I feel very on the spot right now. His wife is Persephone, who I do have a tattoo of.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I am guessing that you're familiar with Hadestown.
Oh,
as
yeah.
as a Broadway
yeah.
fangirl.
Oh, yeah. Hadestown. I've actually not seen it. I've listened to some of the soundtrack, but it rips.
What is
So-
Hadestown? Is it just a suburb of Hades?
It is.
So
That
when you-
joke did not hit.
when you
That-
move
I
from
saw
the-
Bob's face be like, "Oh, that's so cheesy." Even I wouldn't say it.
When you move from the land of the dead to like 18th century USA, you have to set up a little Hades town so all the dead people can go to their markets and get the food they're used to.
Did you just invent a new Mormonism?
I feel like Mormons would have an issue with being the land of the dead, but they did come from Utah. And if
Speaking
you've
of
ever
which,
been to
actually,
Utah-
speaking of which, I was going to ask everyone to go down the line and say their favorite depiction of hell and or Hades and or the underworld in media, and mine was going to be in South Park, where only Mormons get to go to heaven.
I was gonna say you say that, Eric, but like remember the whole premise of Mormonism is that when Jesus was dead for 3 days, where did he go?
but that's one.
America.
That's one guy setting up his little. I'm talking to. This is the immigrants setting up their whole town for themselves, not finding. All right, let's move on.
Well, so I want to ask. I mean, if this is really about the gates of Hades, the place where the dead abide, so that is in this way of thinking, it is just where you go when you are dead, and
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
the afterlife.
Yeah, it is. In Hebrew, it would be Sheol. It is kind of a gray, not a place of punishment, but it's also not a place that is vibrant and alive that you wish to be. And so if Jesus is saying, not even the gates of the place of the dead will prevail against this church that I am building, I almost feel like that is a statement about resurrection, that the faith that is represented in the church and the thing that Christ is doing in the church, that the gates of the place of the dead will be thrown open in the face of that. They won't hold up. And it's not like those are holding bad people back. It's like that's what's holding dead people in. And the whole point of the message of the church that Jesus is bringing and that he's building on Peter's faith is that the dead will be set free and raised. And it's very quiet in here.
That's a good point, Bob.
So basically, this is just Jesus Christ Zombie Slayer.
That was a good movie.
Is it really a movie?
Well, no, I'm sorry.
There's Jesus Christ Vampire
Hunter,
Yeah.
but not as
is it Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter or is it Abraham
I know
Lincoln?
it's Abraham Lincoln.
There's Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, but there's also a Jesus.
Jesus
He
Christ,
was- yeah, he-
Vampire
Yeah.
Hunter.
yeah.
Oh, wowee.
Yeah.
I need to look into this.
When you watch that, you can also watch Tammy and the T-Rex as a double feature.
Wait a minute. Is it pre
I've
or
never-
post resurrected Jesus?
You know what? I've never seen it. I'm gonna have to look it up. I
if
just
it's
know it exists.
pre-resurrected Jesus, the weapon of the cross is taken out of effect because he is yet to die on the cross.
Ooh.
And I don't even know if the Holy Spirit's arrived yet to have holy water. Jesus just literally has to kick ass.
So what did they do with the vampires before the resurrection? Think about it.
Lowercase t's were not a problem for them.
Jesus was a carpenter. He was probably pretty good with the stakes.
I'm going to guess the answer here is no, but have either of you watched Velocipastor yet?
Oh, yes.
I have not watched it.
Of course.
I have definitely seen.
Bob,
Duh.
I don't know social references. But I was like, yeah, Velocipastor.
Velocipastor,
Do you
yes.
secretly have a B movie fetish I don't know about?
My brother and dad are great fans of bad movies.
Okay.
And they have watched all kinds of stuff. So, of course, the Velocipastor was on the list of things that they needed to share with me when I came home for a visit. And it is a movie.
That's that is a very accurate statement. I have a copy of Six String Samurai at some point if you want, but I wonder when we're gonna get William Tell Vampire Hunter. Like that one seems to fit the story really well. He's just throwing a bunch of apples at vampires. Put that on your head.
No one can tell.
Shut the fuck up.
That's it. That's the little subheading in the title. and it's read with that deep voice. No one can tell.
So about the Bible.
So divert from the topic we're on in it. I am still just from our keynote speaker at Convo, I believe last year, covering this is where I learned the concept of what binding and loosing would have meant to the listeners from Matthew's gospel, where most of us think of it as forgiving sins or condemning. And Jesus definitely gave that authority to the church, but he did that in other gospels. That's not what he's talking about here. There would have been a well-known concept of if the law applied in a circumstance with the law was always the law, but they understood the concept of extenuating circumstances, that there was times where you're like, you just physically cannot follow the letter of all the laws here. And so if there were experts in the law who decided whether or not the law was still bound or whether or not it was loosened, was there enough extenuating circumstances to determine that the law is now loosed, you were not held accountable for it. And what Jesus is giving the authority of the church to do here is to determine in which cases do you have to give a grace to folks who are trying their best in a human world. When you have two laws that are in conflict with one another, and I could follow one or the other, when it's rather obvious that you didn't know that. There's all kinds of places where the letter of the law says you're guilty, but there was no possible way for you to have applied to this. That would, when it's loosened, there was an actual legal expert whose job was to decide, or is it bound? And Jesus is taking that authority in this passage away from those who traditionally had it and is giving it to the church.
Look, I think more power should be taken away from the Supreme Court, so I'm fully on board with this.
You're good with Eric and me having it?
Yes. Yeah, you guys have to do better than Clarence Thomas and John Roberts and fucking Alito.
We try.
I feel if it really came to actually like the law, I don't know what I'm doing, Eric.
I can actually say with confidence that you are more qualified than Clarence Thomas. He went to law.
No, you go ahead.
He went to law school. Yes, he is but the amount of time that he was like actually a trial lawyer is like zilch, and his rulings are just continuously detached from reality because he knows what his position is, which is to just be the nutcase that moves the Overton window legally.
I think at this point, in order to be more competent than most of our Congress, you just need to have a beating heart.
Really just tying it back to some problematic issues of taking how these roles were given to the church. The definition of the church kind of defines where this authority lies. I mean, that's the ecclesia, the gathering of the saints, is the church that this was given to. I mean, literally to Peter, but by church tradition, that then hands down to the entire gathering. And depending on denominations, you define that slightly differently. But even if you are in an Orthodox or a Catholic faith, there is still a large variance of opinions within the church. And so determining where does the authority lie, how hierarchical is it, how much is a large source of dissension within the church over years. And I think there's something to our need to work with. Where do we exercise this authority, especially when we start getting into hot button issues that we really get heated disagreements about, because there are major segments of the church that may recognize that this is a place that we should be offering some loosening. There are other places that needs to be bound, but we'll loosen, and there's great disagreements on how to apply this authority within the church.
I don't know how great those disagreements are. I feel like they're bad disagreements.
Well, no, you'll find certain segments of the church who think, well, you just always need to apply it. But almost everyone has a place that that's where grace needs to be applied. Even your strictest, most legalist definition, conservative Christian, you will find the person that they can see their own sins in, and the knee-jerk reaction is, well, that's where grace needs to be applied, because I can understand how they did that. And so the real wrestling with, if all of our knee-jerk reaction is to only loosen the sins that we can empathize with, how do we, as a larger body, figure out how to handle this authority? We don't want to loosen everything, because then now it's perfectly fine to exercise all the worst abuses of the church throughout history, because we're not going to hold anybody to any laws. You can abuse children. You can have your mass graves outside of reservation schools. but you don't want to bind everything, because then there's no potential for anyone to ever improve the world. All we're doing is punishing. And I don't know, I personally wrestle with how when the authority is not given to, it would be nice if we just had Jesus sitting there telling us, and he was on his little judge's bench ruling on which things we're supposed to do, but instead he handed this authority to us morons.
It does remind me of Moses delegating the authority to the elders of Israel, that they had a share of his authority to decide simpler cases, and that was binding. And, that was just good delegation for the sake of good order and keeping Moses sane. And I don't think that applies
guys,
to Jesus, but
I got to share this responsibility. Sometimes I see bushes that are on fire, and I feel like maybe I shouldn't be the sole arbiter.
I do think it's important that Jesus gives this authority specifically in connection with Peter recognizing him for who he is. That Peter's had this moment where he sees Jesus clearly. And I mean, goodness knows he does not always see Jesus clearly. And he gets things mixed up. Very shortly after this, it's going to be the "Get behind me, Satan." And that's also Peter, because he has misunderstood in that moment who Jesus is and what he's about. But here, Peter has had this moment where he sees something clearly, and Jesus says, yes, this is the thing where the binding and the loosing is going to be based. That when you are seeing with clear eyes, and when you are seeing me and understanding who I am and what I am about, then it is good for you to be the one who is binding and who is loosing, because you have me before you, and you're focused on that. When you are not seeing me, when you are not understanding me, then woe unto you when you are binding and loosing, because you probably do not have the right orientation. It's all about orientation in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Simon Peter is really confusing, very disorienting.
Mm-hmm. You've encountered him a lot over these last few years, Eric. What is your take on Simon Peter?
I get confused when we call him Simon Peter, not just Peter.
Yeah. Sometimes he's just Simon.
Oh, God.
I don't like it.
He is the John Cougar Mellencamp of the Bible.
He's the who's on first of the Bible. But Peter's always. Look, I am never bored if Peter comes up. I will
He is the patron saint of every pastor that has ever made a dumb move.
So he's the patron saint of every pastor.
Yes,
and still been loved by Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
That is the thing that we love about him, is that he does the dumb things, and sometimes he says exactly the right thing. And whether he's dumb Peter or whether he is the teacher's pet, Jesus loves him.
In the Bible, the movie, Simon Peter's going to have a Brooklyn accent. And just like at the most inopportune times is going to be like, hey, where can a guy get a good bagel around here?
I mean, this is making me think of Harvey Keitel as Judas in The Last Temptation of Christ. And, it was not Peter who had the heavy New Yorker accent there, but
it should be.
It should be. We're getting close to the end here.
Mm-hmm.
Any deep, final, profound things that you want to put out there into the world?
I mean, for me right now, it is, if we were preparing to preach this today, I would be torn between whether I am stressing the first half of the relationship between an individual and Jesus, or the second half about the tension when we try and make that into a corporate way of living in public life. And maybe the place to preach is the way that there is a necessity to take the one and move it to the other, because we are social beings and we are going to mess up. And the fact that we mess up makes the loosening part very important.
And thank God that things are loosened for us sometimes.
Yeah.
I like how Jesus ends it by being Frodo.
Yeah.
Go ahead now, keep your secrets.
He's very secretive in the Gospel of Matthew. Don't tell anybody.
And as we wrap, I think that is worth pointing out that, I mean, this is something where this is like the big thing has been revealed. This moment of you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. That's like the reveal. And the very next thing practically that you get is, and don't tell anybody that. Let's just keep that between us for right now.
Do you think Jesus was caught off guard when Peter got it right? That's why he's like, wow, you're pretty blessed. Like, people didn't tell you that.
No, I
the
figured it
Spirit,
out.
the Holy, damn. Okay.
Oh, well,
all
you're
right
like
then.
the third Messiah I see on these streets, Jesus.
You're, I guess you're, I'm going to call you Peter now. You're the rock.
I was really saving this for like
They call
2
me
or 3
Petey the
lessons
Rocks
from now.
back home.
Wow, Peter to the head of the class.
You just skipped the grade, Simon Peter.
It's
Good
like
job.
when the stoner is the only one in the class with a passing grade.
Even Jason figured it out.
How did
This one hurts.
How did you do that?
Well, with a fine Good Place reference, we're going to leave it there. Guys, what do you got coming up like next couple of weeks here?
August 29th and 30th, you can catch me at the Columbus Comedy Festival in Columbus, Ohio. And you can follow me at It's Abby E on Instagram. Yay.
Wait, I thought you were Eric.
I'm Abby now.
Yeah, when she's plugging
Eric's
actual
just strongly
shows.
promoting Abby, but Erick Williams will be performing with Encore Comedy at Back Alley Brewing in Dormont on August 29th.
Woo.
Awesome. So
Big day
And
for comedy.
Also,
Oh.
on October 23rd.
You can come to the roast of Stephen King at Mr. Small's Funhouse.
all right, next episode, I'm going to want to ask for more about the roast of Stephen King.
I absolutely we'll talk more. We'll talk more.
All right. And we didn't get your socials, Eric.
Comical E-dubs on Instagram.
And that just leaves us. We are at CPTB-POD. You can find us, CPTB Pod. But for now, you have spent a half an hour with us. And if we did somehow offend you in those 30 minutes, we are sorry.
No, you did it yourself, and you've listened enough at this point. You knew you were going to do it yourself. It's your fault. Take some accountability.
We
We
really-
can loosen it, though. We can loosen it.
So we are loosening it as long as you like us, subscribe to us, share us with all of the sinners in your life.
Share it with the saints, too. They're the same freaking people.
And we will be back with more funny and more God talk next week.
Until then, may the Holy Spirit do her thing in your life.